Excellent. All right. Well, hi. How is everybody?
Good.
Okay.
Okay.
Quick announcement for those of you interested in Community and Coffee. It is on Zoom tomorrow, so it's from the comforts of your home.
Yeah, you'll get the link. The link will come,
Yes, it will.
and we can talk. It's going to be only on Zoom,
Yeah.
not in person.
I don't want to I want to be respectful of people's time, so I'm going to share. We're going to be looking at a rabbinic story or a midrash. So what I thought I would do is first identify what actually is a midrash. So I mean, by definition, it's an ancient commentary on the part of Tanakh. I gotta turn this off. Hold on, I forgot to do that. And okay. All right. Midrash is, by definition, a commentary on the part of Tanakh, Torah, prophets, writings, which make up the Jewish Bible, attached to the biblical text. The earliest midrashim come from the 2nd century CE, although much of their content is older. And Midrash Rabbah, depending on how one spells it, can refer to the collective whole of specific Aggadic midrashim on the books of Torah and 5 Megillot. There are two types of midrashim. One is halachic, in terms of that it talks about Jewish law, what's expected of us, and the other is Aggadic, which is kind of like what we're looking at, the different stories and stuff that people use to explain different things. So today, we're going to take a couple verses from the book of Genesis and talk about an interesting thing and figure out I'm going to ask you, like, what did you think, the rabbis were concerned with? So it comes from the first two verses from Genesis chapter 1. It says, "And God said, let us make humankind in our image, after our likeness. They shall rule the fish of the sea, birds of the sky, cattle of the whole earth, and all the creeping things that creep on earth." And the second part is, "And God created humankind in the divine image, creating it in the image of God, creating them male and female." So my first question is to everyone, and feel free to answer it. What do you think the rabbis were concerned with here? What doesn't make sense?
If God is invisible, then how are people in God's image? What is the image?
Okay, that's a good one. Yeah, God is that's a good one. I hadn't thought about that. That's good. Okay, Ellen, what were you going to say?
Given Trump's attack on gender identity.
I'm not going to politicize this, so get off of that topic.
All right, I'm just saying male and female.
Okay.
Is that it?
No. Well, that could be, but you'll notice in the very first sentence, it says, "Let us make," let us make humankind. Who's the us? If God is, if we're creating, if the idea is the creation of a monotheistic religion and the belief of one God, who's us? So that's the whole crux of this. Is like, yes, we've talked about angels. So let's look and see, what a couple of the midrashim talk about. So on source two comes from Genesis Rabbah, comes right from the midrash itself in chapter 8, number 5. And this is it's an extensive book, and again, you can actually see it on Sefaria, which now has all the midrash in English. So it says the following: Rabbi Simon says, "When the Holy One, blessed be He, came to create Adam, the first man, the ministering angels divided into various factions and various groups. Some of them were saying, 'Let him not be created,' and some were saying, 'Let him be created.' That is what's written. Kindness and truth met, righteousness and peace touched." This is in Psalms. They took this verse in Psalm 85:11. So what they're saying is they went into two factions, but in fact, the factions were kindness and truth, and we're going to find out a couple others. So they said kindness, truth, righteousness, and peace. These were the factions that they're talking about. Kindness said, let him be created, let people be created as he performs acts of kindness. Truth said, let him not be created, for he is all full of lies. And by the way, it's interesting when it says that he's all true of lies. It says, Emet Omer, Al Yivra Shekulo Shekarim. It's not full of lies. It's like the actual translation should be full of contradictions. That, in fact, that people are just full of they're not just always lying, but there's all sorts of contradictions going on within their life. And peace then says, peace said, let man not be created, for as he is full of discord. I'm sorry, and righteousness said, let him be created because he performs acts of righteousness. Peace said, let him not be created as he is full of discord. What did the Holy One, blessed be he, do? He took truth and cast it down to the earth. That is what is written. You cast truth earthward. That's in the book of Daniel, chapter 8:12, which I told you before. Daniel is a really strange kind of book, but it's kind of fun to read. The ministering angels said before the Holy One, blessed be he, Master of the universe, why are you demeaning your very seal? Let truth ascend from the earth. That is what is written, truth will spring from the earth. So this is in Psalm 85. So the rabbis are looking at this one section in the book of Psalms to talk about truth and what it's going to do. So if you look at source 3, this is actually what the rabbis were kind of basing it on. So it says in the book of Psalms, in chapter 85, verses 9 through 12, let me hear what God, the Lord, will speak. God will promise well-being to God's people, God's faithful ones. May they return to folly.
May they not.
What's that?
May they not turn.
God's help is very near to those who fear God, to make God's glory dwell in our land. Faithfulness and truth meet justice, and justice and well-being kiss. Truth springs up from the earth, justice looks down from the heaven. If you had to determine what that meant, my friends, what do you think this psalm is talking about? How would you describe it to someone? Any idea? I mean, you could remember what happened in this midrash is God throws truth down, as if saying, okay, yeah, no, we're not going to even deal with this. And yet it does say in the book of Psalms, truth springs up from heaven. So why do you think this is, what do you think is going on with truth? Any ideas? What does truth, if truth is sprung, it goes down and justice looks down from heaven, what is truth? Or let me rephrase that. Is there one truth?
Is truth in the eye of the beholder?
How about that? Is it? Or could it be that there's more than one truth? Isn't that saying the same thing, Gail, that you just said?
Yeah.
It's like there is more than one truth. And truth was, saying how, people are full of these contradictions, they're all full of lies, but that's only if you consider one truth. But in fact, the one thing we do know is that there are many different forms or many different truths, if I could use that, or people have, one person's truth may not be what the other is, so to speak. So if you, what the rabbis do now, they've got this whole discussion, and then we learn something in the tractate Brachot, in the section that talks about blessings, in 64a, it says, Rabbi Elazar, in the name of Rabbi Hanina, poor scholars increase peace in the world, as it is said, all your children shall be disciples of God, and great shall be the peace of your children, saying the word banaich from Isaiah chapter 54, verse 13. And what they're saying is, don't read the word banaich, your children, but read it as bonaich, your builders. So when it talks about that all the children will be disciples of God, does peace come from the children, or does peace come from the builders? And who are the builders? In other words, if we're going to have peace, then in fact, you're going to have it'll have to be from the people that will be created, and not just, but and not just anyone, but it'll be from these people, from us, so to speak. We're the builders, and that's where we're going to get peace. But the question that you have to, that we look at, and you got to go back to verse 1 here. Peace said, "Let him not be created, for he's full of discord." He's full of all these ridiculous stuff. So and truth. So if you go over here, and truth says, "Let him not be created," because he's full of lies, full of contradictions. So truth and peace don't want creation to happen, yet kindness and righteousness do. So the interesting thing is, why would truth and peace, or those people, not want people to be created? So what is this? What's going on? Yeah, Ellen, what do you think?
Well, I think truth and peace are very, very hard to attain, whereas kindness and righteousness, yes, you can practice kindness and righteousness much more easily than to create truth and peace, because truth is in the eye of the beholder. It changes, but who's depending on who's seeing it. And peace, even in our Bible, when you have rivalry among brothers and jealousy and discrimination, and peace is so hard to attain. I mean, every one of our ancestors were fighting with each other, and jealous of each other. And where is peace? I think it's because it's difficult. It's very difficult.
I think
given humanity.
I think that one of the interesting things that this is going to bring up, it's not just where is peace. It's not just one piece. Peace is not like truth. There's not just one truth. So, Rav, Abraham Kook, who was the first chief rabbi of Israel, in his writings in Olat Riyah on page 330, he has the following. And I'm sorry the Hebrew doesn't have the vowels, but the original Hebrew didn't either, so I didn't want to have to go put them all in there. But he says the following. Rabbi Elazar, now he's quoting this this section from Talmud that we just read. The disciples of the wise increase peace in the world, as it says, "All your children shall be disciples of God, and great shall be their peace of their children." Banayach, read not banayach, but bonayach. So he's quoting that, and he says, "Some err and think that world peace can only be built through total consensus in views and traits. When they see the disciples of the wise delving into the wisdom and Torah knowledge, and through this activity producing a plethora of opinions and schools of thought, they believe that this causes conflict and is the opposite of peace." So what he's saying is that when people sit there and they're talking Torah, and you're in a group of 2 to 4 people, and they're discussing Talmud, one has this opinion, one has that opinion, and he's saying that some people think that that type of discussion doesn't create peace. That, I believe this and you believe that, and so on and so forth. But the truth, and this is the part that, and by the way, the boldness and the italics are mine, but the truth is that real peace, on the contrary, can only come to the world through precisely the multiplicity of peace, and this is when all sides and opinions come to light and are proven to have their own place. In fact, even matters that seem superfluous and contradictory will be validated when the true wisdom is revealed in all its facets. For only through the marshaling of all the parts and details, all the seemingly divergent viewpoints, all the disparate fields of study, will the light of truth and justice come forth. The knowledge of God, the divine wisdom and love, the light of true Torah. Thus, it is that the disciples of the wise, it is that the disciples of the wise increase peace, inasmuch as they expand and explain new wisdom in a multitude of facets containing numerous categories. In this, they increase peace. So, go back to the bold. Truth is the real peace, but the truth is that real peace, on the contrary, can only come to the world through precisely the multiplicity of peace. That is when all sides and opinions come to light and are proven to each to have their own place. So what do you think that Rav Kook is saying? Now, mind you, he's the chief rabbi of Israel, too. He's the first chief rabbi of Israel. So he's in the early 20th century. How would what do you think he's saying? I.e., translate that in English. Any ideas? Alan?
Peace is created through the respecting of diverse opinion, of different ideologies, different conceptions, but valuing each and every one, such as a large family. And God is the moderator.
Okay, but it also says this is when all sides and opinions come to light and are proven to each have their own place.
So I'm thinking similar to Ellen, that in order to have peace, it's not that everyone agrees on the same thing. You actually agree to disagree and to allow more than one opinion to exist at the same time, and that you could work within that framework rather than saying, no, we can't have peace until we all agree on exactly the same thing.
Right. Then when he said proven to each have their own place, he's talking about competing narratives. He's talking about how these, there may be two valid stories, two valid explanations of the same act, but they may be very different explanations. But it does, as he says, they each have their own place. That each has to be accepted. You can't deny one's story, one's explanation, just because you may or may not agree with it. But the idea is that the other person has to acknowledge your story as well. And then whether that's compromise or something of that sort, is that. Okay. And Parker said, peace comes from embracing our similarities and not allowing our differences to divide us. Yeah, what Joanne said. Yes, that is what Joanne said. So you've got, you have this idea that there needs to be there needs to have this all sides and opinion come to light and are proven in their own light. Does this answer does this answer the question? I'm going back to our first thing. Does this answer the question of us? Does this midrash answer the question of who was God looking towards when it says, let us make humankind in our image?
Is he talking to the angels?
Well, I'm just saying, according to this, he's talking to truth, justice, kindness. I mean, the idea is that he's talking, kindness and righteousness, truth and peace. Those are the, essentially, that's who God is talking to. Or angels that represent those things. I mean, we always talk about the different angels, and there's a real question about how much angel, yes, there is angelology in Judaism, very much so. When in the traditional prayer book, the morning service is full of angels. Right before the prayers, right before the Shema, talk about the different angels, and then when you get to the Kedusha, the section in the morning tefillah, and when we actually go kadosh, we actually stand up and we kind of like raise ourselves. We do kadosh, kadosh, kadosh. We're kind of like standing on our toes. What we're doing, the reason we're doing that is we were supposed to traditionally is we're acting as the angel, because the line right before that talks about how the angels are talking amongst each other, and they all together they actually say, Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzvaot, God, holy, 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 the God, Adonai Tzvaot is the holy God, and what we raise ourselves to be like the angels, like it's all the angels in us are all singing at the same time. This kadosh. So that's the concept. There is the concept of angels, but in this they take the angels away, and they actually refer to it as kindness, righteousness, truth, and peace. That they're the ones arguing. That truth in itself is an entity. The peace itself is an entity, and the only way they can come together is if both listen to each other. In terms of, if we want peace, then we need to understand that there are different truths. If we want truth, we need to understand that peace may come, but there's different competing narratives and things of that sort. So truth is actually learning that there's more than one truth in this. And so truth is taken out of the, kind of like thrown down to the earth. Why would truth be thrown down to the earth? Why do you think God would throw truth down? I know it's kind of a strange question because there's no way to hold on to truth. There's no way there's nothing that is truth that you can put in your hand. But think about it.
Maybe it's because if truth is down on earth, we have to search and look for it. Whereas if it came from above, it would be like he's just putting it on us. This is the truth. But by having it down below, it's like we're searching and we have to find it for ourselves.
Exactly. Joanne, I always said you make a great rabbi. If you think about truth, or the truth of Torah is on earth. It's not in heavens. There's a great sentence in the Torah itself that says the truth is not in the heavens. It's right here. And so for us to look at truth, we don't have to look any farther than the next person, or the next issue. We have to kind of acknowledge that this is truth, and we need to search for it here, and it's nowhere else. Kindness is, when one acts kindly, all sorts of different things, is easy to accept. Righteous, people are righteous in their own ways. But truth and peace, as we know at this moment, truth and peace are not easy. It's easy to be kind. There are all sorts of kind, different people that are kind. It's easier to be righteous. But truth and peace are the things that actually would hold humankind together. And maybe that's why truth and peace, in this particular midrash, we're saying, no, you're not. You shouldn't create people, because look what they're going to do. They're going to upset truth and peace. They're going to, they're going to do something to it that isn't, that's not right. Yeah, go ahead, Ellen.
I was just thinking how everyone has their own truth, and how it interferes with peace. Supposedly, we want to take over the Panama Canal again, according to Trump.
Yeah, but like I said, don't politicize it.
All right. Well, I'm giving an example. Under the first Bush, we invaded Panama. We have relatives in Panama. In the reaction to this, and the fighting that ensued, we lost 2 relatives. 2 were killed. One of Larry's cousin's uncles and another cousin. They were on opposite sides of the fighting and disorder that occurred when we invaded Panama. What was the truth? And when we asked, why didn't you protest? You lost 2 people. And they said, well, you couldn't. The U.S. is too powerful. What happened? You can't say anything. It was the answer. Are we going to do this again? And what is the cost when you invade a country, not a very strong country, to gain power or to gain control, and you kill people? What is the cost? Is there truth? Is kindness? Is there peace? No, not when you want to aggrandize oneself.
Parker says, if we are created in the divine image, then we have the capabilities to align with that if we so choose. With the Midrash, it showcases our contradictions, that we have the free will not to align with the divine or through our actions and choices, which is why they debate whether or not humankind should be created. We have the ability to do what is best for this world, but we have the choice to also destroy it. Yeah, that's very true. Thank you, Parker. That's, we have it, so to speak, in our hands to kind of do something. I think part of the challenge that we have to remember is how each person can make a difference in the world. Whether or not you and I can make a difference, and whether or not in any decision that comes that has to do with Panama, that's a different thing. Because I don't know, at least as far as I know, no one has consulted me on the issue. But there are issues that we do get consulted on, and it may be helping people right here in our community, which is what Street Soldiers does on Sundays when they pass out stuff, which is what Sycamore Collaborative does all the time. And all these, everything that we're trying to do, for this month, you donate a pair of shoes and it gets sent around the world and helps someone, gives someone a position, a job to, so they can make a living. And they're also, selling shoes at a tremendously discounted price compared to America for children and adults who don't have good shoes. So, there's certain things that we can do that could create a truth and peace in the world. And I think we just have to kind of realize what is within our power, so to speak, within our purview, as we look at differences between truth and peace. So, but it's interesting. One of the things that truth does say is that people are filled with contradictions, and that's very true. We definitely are. So I think that's what makes us human, and I think that's what makes human very good. Yeah, Bob, go ahead, or Joanne.
Hi, I'm so just reading something about chimpanzee DNA is 99% the same as human DNA.
Okay.
And that recently people who study chimpanzees have determined that some of them use sign language to each other.
I read that. Study.
Yeah, isn't that
or about that studies?
So their DNA is 1% of ours. They have the ability to communicate with each other, and they are, the males at least, are extremely violent. So what's realistic to expect of us?
Don't monkey around.
Oh, oh, boy.
Okay, so that would
Don't monkey around, that's funny.
I think the DNA itself may be similar. The size, even the size of the brains are a little similar, although the lower part of the brain is not dissimilar for the chimpanzee or for the rat, for that matter. The rat's brain is almost identical to the lower parts of our brain. But I think what we need to realize is that what we do have is language. We have the ability to write. That doesn't mean the chimpanzees don't communicate, but they don't have the ability to write down the language to record their stuff from one generation to another. And also, we don't have instincts. As far as like the animal kingdom has an instinct to hunt, the instinct of survival, instinct to procreate. Our instincts are very different if we have any. I admit, Bob, I'm a behaviorist, so I don't believe that we have instincts. But one can kind of go from there with that. So that's my answer to your question about that. And anyone else have any other questions or thoughts? Yeah, Ellen, kind of quickly, because we're going to wrap up.
We watch a lot of animal shows, a lot of, I do hope we have progressed, even though our DNA is similar to the chimpanzees. I hope we've progressed to symbolic aggression, perhaps, or symbolic shows of power, or symbolic dominating, for the females or whatever. But let's hope we don't have to kill for this, showing that you're top dog or top monkey.
Okay.
I don't know. We're hoping.
All right, folks. So that is our kindness and peace, and I hope you got a kick out of this one. So thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you again next Tuesday. All right.
Thank you, Arnie.
Take care,
Thank you.
folks. Welcome.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.